hotline. Good morning, Fish. How are you?
Morning, boys. Outstanding. I missed Choppy already, though.
Oh, you do? Why?
Well, Marcia and I were watching those Netflix Murder, Amanda Knox, Whodunits,
Yeah.
and then afterwards, we watch them all. Of course, it's bonding, it's love. And then afterwards, she says, Fish, she says, we should do a podcast, you and me, on the subject of these things. Because after these shows are on, like all couples, we sit around and talk about them for 20 minutes and analyze them and stuff. I said, I'd do that with you. I said, you can snap your finger and put a podcast on the air now. That part's easy.
Yeah.
But I said we'd have to rehearse. If we're going to do a 20-minute podcast, we need 20 minutes of rehearsal. We got to do show prep. We got to create an outline. If we think of funny or witty lines or insightful stuff, we got to write that down.
Forget all that. All you need is a name. What's the name?
The Fish Pod.
Fish in the Marsh.
There you go. Hey. And so she says, yeah, I don't really want to do all that work. I just want to talk on a podcast. She goes, so why don't you be the Sean of the podcast? And she says, and I'll just be the RJ.
Oh, she got the David Irvin approach, huh?
That's why
she's too good.
That's why I love Marcia so much. You can tell who does the work on this program.
Yeah, so Texas Tech is in the finals tonight.
Yeah.
The Texas Rangers are playing. The Cowboys signed Tank. The Stars are going to the playoffs, and it's Dirk week. And Choppy's not even in the state.
And he's at Augusta, not even for the days they're playing the golf.
Yeah.
He's there for the practice rounds.
He can play golf.
What's that?
Yeah, he's there so he can play golf.
Yeah, just not on that.
RJ Choppy is the RJ Choppy of this show.
Mike Fisher joining us, Cowboys Insider. Why did this Tank deal finally get done? In my opinion, Mike, when it came out on Friday, I'm like, all this drama for this? Like, these numbers were so obvious. Like, why Friday? How did this thing happen?
Well, you were really smart on the numbers because you kept saying, what's the guaranteed? And we were playing at 55 and 60 and 65 and whatever. In the end, the 65 turns out to be exactly right. And he gets to 65 over 3 years. Is Roy there? He's a mathematician. What's 65 divided by 3? 21.
Right under 22 million a year.
And so they kind of split the difference on the APY. It all gets done in the first 3 years, and then Tank Lawrence in year 4 and 5 is like 19 and 21. So at that time, he's not yet 31 years old, and that won't be a bad rate to pay if he can still play. And if he can't, you cut him with cap savings, some dead money, but then cap savings too. So you're right. The numbers now look like, well, why didn't you just do that a month ago? But the impetus, I believe, and we talked about this on the show last week, I think Tank Lawrence at some point having a conversation with Stephen Jones, not the agents, not the big calculator guys, just Tank and Stephen. And somewhere in that conversation, the subject of, well, maybe I should, what if I just get my shoulder done? Or Stephen says, why don't you get your damn shoulder done?
Yeah.
And somewhere in there, between Thursday and Friday, some really good talks on Friday and then a break got it done on Friday afternoon. And there's so many beautiful aspects of this, Sean. And one of them is the dark cloud that was going to hang over this building doesn't hang over it now. It would have been dark. If you go through captain's workouts and the draft and OTAs, and now we're getting ready for training camp and there's no Tank, the mood in that building would not have been good. Yeah. Now the mood in that building is sky high.
So what does this do to their salary cap situation and the possible effect on the other guys?
Yeah, this actually reduces his cap impact this year by almost half, down from 20.5 to 11-ish, something like that. So it gives them another $9 million of room, which gives them a total ballpark figure right now of having $18 million of room. So we debated, we had a good debate this weekend, a bunch of us on Twitter, at Fish Sports, about the pecking order. And obviously in terms of the pecking order of importance, Dak Prescott's the quarterback. It's a quarterback league. That's the most important one. My theory was, though, that the Amari Cooper deal, he presently makes 13.9, that's going to reduce his cap impact. So mathematically, I'd want to do that one first, so it would give me the most room to do the next ones. And then over the weekend, I talked to a source inside the building here who says there's no priority. One doesn't make any difference over the other. What we want to get done, if we can get it done, it's not a blockade talking specifically now about Amari and Dak. The other ones can be a little different, but in the end, right now, guess what the Cowboys cap room in the next spring is?
150?
$80 million.
Woo!
Now, that's going to get spent. It always does. But this might be the youngest team in football coming off a 10-win season with cap room now and $80 million worth of room next year. Please quit arguing with me about the Cowboys being in cap hell. Please.
Now, do you think, lie detector, gun to the head, all of it, do you think they really want to extend Dak this offseason? Or is there a part of them that says, hey, let's go ahead and make him really prove it and leave no doubt next year? What do you think their true intention is despite all the public love?
I think Jerry Jones, and he's on this show so frequently, makes national news every time he's on the Fan. I think Jerry Jones is pretty transparent on this. He's a believer in Dak Prescott. And the way I characterize him, because he's not Brady, he's not Breeze, he's not Rodgers. And by the way, maybe now that we know more about Aaron Rodgers, maybe it's a good thing in some ways that he's not Rodgers. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback for the Cowboys. Does that mean he's a $30 million quarterback in every city, at every time, in every place? Maybe not. But he's a great quarterback for this team, all things considered. I think that's part of Jerry Jones' driving force, and I still think the Prescott thing can get done before training camp.
Mike Fisher right here on the Fan. So now I assume Tank is going to get this surgery pretty quickly?
Stephen Jones told me on Friday night that the surgery is scheduled for Wednesday. Exclusive. Nice.
Okay, there you go. And availability for training camp or the off-season activities you think will line up like what?
Say it's, I don't know when all of a sudden somebody panicked and said it's 6 weeks of recovery. It's 6 months. It's 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
So, again, we'll get Roy White with his big mathematical calculator. You get the surgery on April 10th. On and on and on and on. We're going to be
Chances are we're
10th.
going to be, best case scenario, he's ready to go at the beginning of training camp. Chances are the Cowboys probably ease him along, so it might be a week or two before he gets into action, and then that'll roll right into the first preseason game. Don't know if he'll get that much action by the first preseason game, but you could be reasonably sure that by that third preseason game, DeMarcus Lawrence should be healed and healthy and ready to go.
There you go. And he plays 10 snaps in the third preseason game, and that's the end of it. And by the way, same with Byron Jones and his hip and anybody else that's a veteran who's recovering from surgery, minor surgery or whatever. If they don't play in the first 2 preseason games, are we happy or sad about that?
Don't care.
I don't care about them playing.
I don't want him to, if I'm a Cowboy fan, I don't need Tank Lawrence to play in week 1 of the preseason because I don't need there to be a week 1 in preseason or week 2. And so if there's a good excuse for the Tank Lawrences and the Byron Joneses to not go out and bang their heads against a wall for 3 weeks of training camp, fine by me.
Did David Irving clarify or change your mind about anything when he went on Ben and Skin Friday?
He did not. I really respect, Sean, your opinion that while he's clearly not committed to football, he is committed to the cause of decriminalization of marijuana. That's your position, right?
Yeah, he thinks he's the Colin Kaepernick of weed.
Okay, and I think, and I like David, I think that's what David sees himself as this week. He's the Colin Kaepernick of weed. He's the Andy Messerschmidt of weed. He's the Kurt Flood of weed.
Yeah.
But I think
he dropped MLK in there, I thought.
Yeah, he's the Martin Luther King of weed. That was last week. I think this week he might want to be a fireman or an astronaut or a circus clown.
Now, he clarified on Garrett, although I thought, I guess I was alone in supporting you last week when I thought he went dangerously close to race and his criticisms of Garrett. And I thought he did clarify it when he went on with Ben and Skin. Because to me, the big story was, is there a problem with Jason Garrett connecting with black players, like for this team, after a guy that was just here said it? And it sounds like common sense to me. A 50 or 60-year-old guy is probably not going to connect culturally or socially a ton with a bunch of 20-year-olds. That, to me, is common sense. Same thing with Rick Carlisle.
He's going to connect as best he can. And there's always going to be a gap between a 50-year-old and a 20-year-old, and sometimes there's going to be a gap between a black man and a white man.
Yeah.
But I'm going to repeat it one more time, and I'm not going to argue about it anymore because it's just so clear to me. And if you can't see it, then good for you. Sean Sharif, I'm not saying you're a racist, but man, do you have a problem with white people?
Right.
What did I just really say?
Right. Right.
So when I say you're not a racist, but
right.
It's not the what comes after the but isn't more important than what I just said.
Right.
They're equally important.
I agree.
And David Irving knows that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Did the Mavs screw up Team Tank? Are we done now? They beat the Grizzlies. Now they're sitting Luka. They beat the Grizzlies. Salah Mejri wanted to turn into Shaquille O'Neal, and now instead of the 6th spot, we're in the 7th spot with Phoenix and with Dirk's final game at the AAC tomorrow.
Yeah, you're in a big 3-way car wreck, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to beat this drum again, and I'm so proud of Jeff Skin Wade because he's taken this and actually put it on Mavs telecasts. It's not tanking. It's organic tanking. And organic tanking means we're not throwing games. We are setting ourselves up to let whatever happens happen. So we're sitting Luka, and we're telling Salah Mejri, shoot step-back threes. That's not intentionally losing, but we're certainly going to live with the likely result, which is he's going to miss them. Then last night he made them.
Yeah.
And so we have to live with that result. Let's say this about Salah, by the way, and anybody else who's out there busting their ass. It's not the players who screwed this up, if indeed it's a screw-up. It'd be the organization that ends up not going full tank, which they have never done and never will do. They just can't look themselves in the mirror and do it. So organic tanking is the way it's going to be. And now we come to Tuesday night. I guess Choppy's going to miss. And we've got a big debate. Two really smart Mavericks watchers, our own Ben Rogers and then Bobby Caralla of Mavs.com last night. Bobby says, if you root for the Mavericks to lose on Tuesday night and Dirk night, I hope you hit all the red lights when you go home, you dirty dog. And Ben counters by saying, well, yes, for that one night, Team Dirk is bigger than Team Tank. Okay, here's my message to MFFLs. And I've been that since 1990, and there's a lot of people listening to this show that have been Mavericks fans their entire life. It's all they've known. And a lot of heartache over the course of the time. A lot of blood and sweat and tears and money. The average resale price for a ticket for tomorrow night is $400.
Whew.
There's one package. If you want to go super VIP, this guy will sell you his tickets for 2 tickets, $17,000. Okay? If you're a Mavs fan and you want to go to that game and you want to root for Dirk to win, root for the Mavericks to lose, root for the Suns to win, root for Salah to get hurt. No, not get hurt. Take that back. It's your $17,000. You do whatever you want with it. If you want the Mavericks to organically tank, win, for Dirk to score 50, for Dirk to score 0, you get to do anything you want except yell racial slurs and throw garbage on the court. You have earned the right, and not Mike Fisher or Sean Sharif or Bobby Caralla or Ben Rogers can tell you how you have to be. It's your money. It's your blood. It's your tears. You're invested in the Mavericks. If your investment causes you to want the payoff to be that the Mavericks lose, you get to root for that investment. For me, I don't see anything wrong. Nobody's going to remember that the Mavericks lost the Dirk night game.
Right.
They're going to lose 44 games. You're going to remember this one?
Right.
We're going to remember the glory of Dirk.
Yes.
And the outcome of the game will be insignificant. Therefore, my money, blood, sweat, and tears, I'm rooting for the glory of Dirk and another loss.
Yes.
And then at San Antonio, I want more glory of Dirk and another loss. That's what I want because I'm invested in my way.
Well said. I totally agree. What a good topic that is. We'll have to steal that for tomorrow. Thank you, Mikey. Good stuff.
Thanks, boys.
Mike Fisher, buyersafety.com hotline.
Welcome to the Taz Show with multi-time pro wrestling champion, celebrated color commentator.